Her true story from South Carolina. They called her free childcare, so she took back everything. I was folding laundry when my daughter called. It was a Tuesday morning in October. The air outside my little house in Greenville was finally cool after a long, wet summer. I had the window open in the laundry room. I could smell somebody's fireplace smoking somewhere down the street. That smell always made me think of my dad. He died 20 years ago, and I still think of him every time I smell wood smoke. My hands were wet from the fabric softener. I wiped them on my jeans and picked up the phone. "Hey, Mama," she said. Her voice was light, airy, the kind of voice she used when she wanted something. I had heard that voice for 42 years, since the day she was born and she cried until I put her skin against mine. I knew that voice better than I knew my own heartbeat. But that morning, I did not recognize the knife hiding inside it. "I need you to watch the kids this weekend," she said. "Just Saturday night. Me and Mark want to go to that concert in Charlotte. You know the one, I told you about it." I said yes, of course. I always said yes. That was my first sin. Not the yes itself, but the always. The never saying no. The never asking, "What about me?" The never wondering why my calendar belonged to her and her husband and their 3 beautiful, loud children, who called me Mimi and climbed into my lap and pulled my reading glasses off my face and laughed when I pretended to chase them. I said yes, and I meant it. I loved those children. I still love them. That is the part that will never make sense to anyone who has not lived it. You can love someone with every broken piece of your soul, and they can still turn around and set your whole world on fire. Love does not protect you. Love is the thing that makes the burning hurt so much worse. In a row, because my granddaughter Lily would cry if I stopped. I changed diapers and wiped noses and sang the same lullabies I sang to my own daughter when she was small enough to fit in the curve of my arm. I did it all with a full heart. I thought I was building something. I thought I was making memories they would carry with them long after I was gone. I did not know I was just filling a role, a useful role, a replaceable role. The next morning, my daughter came to pick them up. She looked tired but happy. She hugged me and said, "Thank you, Mama. You are a lifesaver." Those words, "You are a lifesaver." I heard them so many times over the years that they stopped meaning anything. They were just sounds, just air moving past her lips. She did not mean them, not really. She meant, "Thank you for making my life easier. Thank you for being free. Thank you for not charging me what a real babysitter would charge. Thank you for not having a life of your own, so I can borrow yours whenever I need it." I did not think that then. I am thinking it now that I know the rest. The cracks started showing a few weeks later. My son-in-law, Mark, called me on a Thursday afternoon. He never called me. He texted sometimes, short messages. "Okay, sounds good. See you then. Can you pick up Lily from soccer?" Things like that. But he never called just to talk. So when I saw his name on my phone screen, my stomach did something strange. A little twist, a little warning bell that I ignored because I was 68 years old and I did not believe in warnings anymore. I thought warnings were for young people who still had time to change their futures. I thought my future was already written. I was so wrong. "Hey, Carol," he said. He called me Carol, not Mom, not even my full name, Caroline, which is what my husband used to call me before he died 5 years ago. Just Carol. Flat, hard, like he was talking to a coworker he did not like very much. "Hey, Mark," I said. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, fine," he said. "Just wanted to ask you something. That real estate lawyer you used when you bought the house, what was his name again?" I told him the name. A man named David Thornton, who had gray hair and a kind face, and an office on Main Street that smelled like old paper and lemon polish. "Why?" I said. "Are you and Jenna buying a new house?" "Something like that," he said. Then he said, "Gotta go," and hung up. That was it. That was the first crack, a tiny hairline fracture in the surface of everything I thought I knew. I should have asked more questions. I should have called my daughter right then and said, "Why does Mark need a real estate lawyer?" But I did not, because I was tired, because I had spent the whole morning at the doctor getting my blood drawn, because my knees hurt from the rain, because I was old and I did not have the energy to chase down every little strange thing that floated across my path. I let it go. I let it go like I let everything go. And that is how they got me. The second crack came at Thanksgiving. We had dinner at my daughter's house. A big, beautiful house on a cul-de-sac with a porch swing and a garden out back that Jenna never touched because she said she did not have the time. I brought my famous sweet potato casserole with the brown sugar and pecan topping. I brought a pumpkin pie I made from scratch the night before. I brought a bottle of wine, even though I do not drink anymore because it makes my hands shake. I brought myself, my whole self, and I sat at their table and watched my grandchildren fight over the last roll, and I felt happy, genuinely happy, the kind of happy that makes you forget you sleep alone every night, the kind of happy that makes you think maybe all the sacrifice was worth it. After dinner, I was helping Jenna clean up. She was at the sink rinsing plates. I was putting leftovers in plastic containers, and I saw it. A piece of mail on the counter, just a corner sticking out from under a stack of coupons. But I saw my name on it, my full name, Caroline Elizabeth Morrison. Not my address, though, their address. The envelope was from a bank I did not recognize, First Carolina Trust. I had never heard of them. "Jenna," I said, "what is this?" She turned around so fast, too fast. Her hand slipped and a plate fell into the sink and cracked. She cursed under her breath. Then she grabbed the envelope from under the coupons and shoved it into a drawer. "Nothing," she said, "just some junk mail. It went to the wrong house." I said, "Okay," because what else could I say? She was my daughter. She looked me in the eye when she said it was junk mail. Her eyes were clear. She did not blink. She had always been a good liar, even as a little girl. She could look me straight in the face and tell me she had not eaten the last cookie while her lips were still covered in chocolate. I believed her then because I wanted to believe her. I believed her now because I could not bear the alternative. That was the second crack. I walked right past it. I stepped over it like it was nothing, like it was just a crack in the sidewalk that you learn to avoid without even thinking. The third crack came in December. I was at the grocery store buying peppermint sticks for the hot chocolate I always made when the grandchildren came over for Christmas baking day. I ran into my neighbor Ruth. She was in the frozen food aisle looking at turkeys, even though it was 3 weeks past Thanksgiving. Ruth is 72. She has known me for 15 years. She knows my family, she knows my business. She is the kind of neighbor who brings you soup when you are sick and then tells everyone on the street exactly what kind of soup it was. "Carol," she said, "I heard you are selling the house." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. The sound echoed off the frozen food cases. "Ruth," I said, "why on earth would I sell my house? I have lived there for 32 years. That is where my husband died. That is where my children grew up. That house is my bones." Ruth looked at me funny. "That is what I heard," she said, "from Linda down at the salon. She said your daughter was in there talking about how you were moving into assisted living and putting the house on the market in the spring." My hands started shaking. The peppermint sticks rattled in the plastic bag. "Ruth," I said, "Jenna would not say that because it is not true. I am not moving anywhere." Ruth shrugged and pushed her card away. "Okay, Carol," she said, "just telling you what I heard." I stood in that frozen food aisle for a long time, long enough that a stock boy asked me if I needed help finding something. I said no, and I meant it. I did not need help finding anything except the truth. And I was about to find that, sooner than I wanted, sooner than I was ready for. I called Jenna that night. I tried to sound casual. I did not want her to know I was shaking. "Hey, sweetheart," I said. "I ran into Ruth at the store today. She said something funny. She said she heard I was selling the house." There was a pause, a long one. I could hear Mark talking in the background, something about a football game. Then Jenna laughed. "Oh my God, Mama," she said. "Ruth is such a gossip. You know how she is. She probably heard it from someone who heard it from someone who made it up. Do not worry about it." I wanted to believe her. I wanted it so badly. But something in her laugh was wrong. It was too bright, too sharp. The laugh of someone who is trying to convince you she is not nervous. I knew that laugh. I had used it myself when I was young and lying to my own mother about where I had been on a Saturday night. "Okay, sweetheart," I said. "I love you." "Love you too, Mama," she said, and she hung up. Christmas came. The children came. We made hot chocolate with the peppermint sticks. We baked cookies. We decorated the tree in my living room, the same tree I had used for 30 years, with the same ornaments my children made in elementary school. The little popsicle stick reindeer with the googly eyes falling off, the clay handprint that was supposed to be a snowman, but looked more like a potato. I loved those ornaments. I loved them because they were proof that I had been a mother, that I had raised children, that my life had meant something. Jenna took pictures. She posted them on Facebook. She wrote, Best Mimi in the world. I saw it later that night when I was lying in bed alone. I cried a little. Happy tears, the kind that come when you feel like you did something right. I did not know she was documenting everything for a reason. I did not know she was building a case, not against me, against the truth. She was building a case to show that I was old and frail and confused, and that she was the doting daughter taking care of her aging mother. She was building a case to show that I had agreed to everything, that I had signed everything willingly, that I had wanted to give them my house and my money and my future. I did not know any of that. Not yet. January was cold and gray. I spent most of it inside. My arthritis was bad. The cold made my fingers curl into claws. I could not knit. I could not hold a book for very long. I just sat by the window and watched the bare trees and waited for spring. I called Jenna every few days. She always answered, but she always sounded busy, distracted, like I was an interruption, like I was a chore she had to check off her list. Mark came over one afternoon in late January. He said he wanted to help me clean out the garage. My husband had left it a mess, tools everywhere, old paint cans, boxes of things nobody had looked at in 20 years. I said, okay. I was grateful. My garage had been bothering me for a long time, but I could not do it myself. My knees would not let me lift the heavy boxes. Mark spent 3 hours in that garage. He filled 6 garbage bags with trash. He took 2 boxes to his truck. He said they were full of old tax documents that needed to be shredded, and he would take care of it for me. I said thank you. I meant it. I did not know that one of those boxes did not have tax documents at all. It had every deed and title and financial statement I owned. It had my will. It had the life insurance policies my husband left me. It had the deed to the house. And Mark took it all. He came back the next day with a stack of papers. He said they were for a reverse mortgage. He said it was a good idea for someone my age. He said it would give me extra money every month so I would not have to worry about anything. He said Jenna had already looked it over and she thought it was a great idea. I should have read every word. I should have called my own lawyer. I should have asked why my daughter was not standing in my kitchen explaining it to me herself. But I trusted them. I trusted them the way you trust your own blood, the way you trust the people you change diapers for, the people you stayed up all night with when they had fevers, the people you worked 2 jobs for so they could have nice clothes for school. I trusted them completely, and that trust was the weapon they used to destroy me. I signed the papers. I signed them on my own kitchen table with a pen that had a faded logo from a bank that closed 10 years ago. Mark watched me sign. He said, "Good job, Carol." He patted my shoulder. His hand was heavy and warm. I thought it was a kind gesture. I know now that he was checking to make sure I was not going to change my mind. He was watching me sign away everything I had built for 40 years of marriage, everything my husband and I had worked for, every nail we hammered, every floor we sanded, every mortgage payment we scraped together when money was tight, and the kids needed braces and the car needed new tires. I signed it all away. The explosion came on Valentine's Day. Not because of love, because of the opposite of love, the cold, hard absence of it. I got a letter in the mail, a real letter, not a bill, not a catalog, a thick envelope from a law firm I had never heard of, Morrison and Associates. I opened it while I was drinking my morning coffee. The coffee was cold because I had let it sit too long. I was not paying attention. I was thinking about whether I wanted to go to the grocery store that day or wait until tomorrow. The letter was from a lawyer named Stephen Morrison, no relation to me, just a coincidence of last names. He was writing to inform me that a petition had been filed in Greenville County Family Court, seeking guardianship over my person and my estate. The petitioner was my daughter, Jennifer Lynn Harper. The petition stated that I was suffering from diminished mental capacity due to early onset dementia, that I was no longer capable of managing my own financial affairs, that I was a danger to myself and others. The petition included sworn statements from my daughter and her husband. It included a letter from a doctor I had never met. It included bank records showing large withdrawals from my accounts, withdrawals I had never made, withdrawals that had been happening for 6 months, withdrawals totaling over $80,000. I read the letter 3 times. Then I read it again. Then I put it down on the table and walked to the bathroom and threw up. I threw up until there was nothing left in my stomach. Then I sat on the bathroom floor with my back against the tub and I cried. Not the quiet crying of sadness, the loud, ugly crying of a person whose whole world has just been ripped out from under her. The kind of crying that makes your whole body shake. The kind of crying that leaves you gasping for air like a fish on a dock. I called Jenna. She did not answer. I called her again. She did not answer. I called Mark. He did not answer either. I left a message. My voice was broken. I said, Jenna, what is this? What is this letter? Please call me back. Please, I am your mother. She did not call back. Not that day, not the next day, not the day after that. I called my lawyer, David Thornton, the one Mark had asked about months ago, the one with the kind face and the office that smelled like old paper. I told him everything. I told him about the reverse mortgage papers, about the boxes Mark took from the garage, about the bank statements showing withdrawals I never made.
About my daughter trying to get guardianship over me. David was quiet for a long time. Then he said something I will never forget. He said, Carol, I need you to listen to me very carefully. You are not losing your mind. You are not suffering from dementia. You are being financially abused by your own daughter and her husband, and they have been planning this for a very long time. I did not believe him at first. I could not believe him, because if he was right, then everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. My daughter did not love me. She had never loved me. She had loved what I could do for her. The free babysitting, the money I gave her when she said they were struggling, the car I co-signed for, the down payment I gave them for that beautiful house on the cul-de-sac. It was all a transaction. And now that I had given everything I had to give, they wanted to lock me away in some facility somewhere so they could take the rest. The next 2 months were a nightmare, a waking nightmare that I could not escape. I hired David to fight the guardianship petition. He filed a response. He demanded a hearing. He asked for an independent medical evaluation. The court agreed. I went to a doctor I did not know, a nice young woman with kind eyes who asked me questions for 3 hours. She asked me what year it was, who the president was. She asked me to draw a clock, to remember 3 words, to count backwards from 100 by sevens. I did all of it. I did it perfectly.
Because I am not demented. I am not confused. I am a 68-year-old woman with arthritis and high blood pressure and a broken heart. But my mind is fine. My mind is sharp. My mind is the only thing they could not steal. The doctor submitted her report. It said I had full cognitive capacity. It said there was no evidence of dementia or any other condition that would impair my ability to make decisions. It said the petition for guardianship was without merit. The court dismissed the case. My daughter lost. But I did not win. Nobody wins when your own child tries to put you in a cage. After the case was dismissed, I went to David's office. I sat in the chair across from his desk, the same chair I had sat in when I bought my house 32 years ago. I was younger then. My husband was alive. My hair was still brown. I had a future. Now I had nothing but anger and grief, and a stack of legal papers so thick they could choke a horse. David laid everything out for me. The reverse mortgage papers I signed, they were real. I had signed them, but Mark had not explained them properly. He had hidden the most important details, the interest rates that would balloon after 5 years, the fees that would eat up every dollar of equity, the clause that said the bank could take the house as soon as I moved out or died. That was the trap. They wanted me to sign away my house so that when I finally died, there would be nothing left for anyone else. They wanted it all for themselves. The bank statements showed withdrawals I had never made, but the withdrawals were done with my debit card, a card I kept in my purse, a purse I left on the kitchen counter every time I went to watch the grandchildren. They had taken my card. They had taken my PIN. They had drained my savings account over 6 months. $80,000. Gone. Spent on who knows what. Vacations, probably. New furniture. The kind of things you buy when you are stealing from your own mother and you do not care because you have convinced yourself that you deserve it. David asked me if I wanted to press charges. He said I had a case for elder fraud, for identity theft, for financial abuse. He said I could send my daughter and her husband to prison. I sat in that chair for a long time. The paper smell was making me nauseous. Or maybe it was the thought of my daughter in handcuffs, my little girl, the one I held in my arms and sang to sleep, the one who took her first steps in my kitchen, the one who cried on my shoulder when her first boyfriend broke up with her. Could I send that girl to prison? I told David I needed to think about it. I went home. I sat in my house alone, the house I had lived in for 32 years, the house I thought I would die in, the house that might not even be mine anymore because of the reverse mortgage I signed while trusting the wrong people. I walked from room to room, the living room where my husband used to fall asleep in his recliner with the TV still on.
The kitchen where I taught Jenna how to crack an egg without getting shell in the bowl. The back bedroom that used to be hers, with the purple walls she begged for when she was 12. I touched the walls. I touched the door frames. I said goodbye to all of it, even though I was still standing inside it. The next morning, I called David. I said, I want to press charges. He said, are you sure? I said, I have never been more sure of anything in my life. The police came to my house 3 days later, a young officer with a kind face and a notepad. He asked me questions for 2 hours. I told him everything: the reverse mortgage, the stolen debit card, the guardianship petition, the doctor who said I was fine, the boxes Mark took from the garage, the envelope at Thanksgiving with my name on it from a bank I did not recognize. I told him about the $80,000, about the house, about the 42 years of being a mother who gave everything and got nothing back except betrayal. He filed a report. The district attorney decided to press charges. Jenna and Mark were arrested on a Friday morning. I found out because my neighbor Ruth called me. She had seen the police cars outside Jenna's house. She had seen them putting Mark in the back of a car. She had seen Jenna crying on the front lawn in her bathrobe. Carol, she said, what happened? I told her the truth, all of it, because I was tired of keeping secrets for people who did not deserve my silence. I told her about the money.
About the guardianship, about the plan to put me in a home so they could take everything. Ruth listened. She did not say I told you so, even though she had every right to. She just said, I am so sorry, Carol. I am so sorry. The case went to court 6 months later. I sat in the front row. Jenna and Mark sat at the defense table. Jenna would not look at me. She stared at the table. She stared at her hands. She stared at anything except my face. Mark looked at me once, just once. His eyes were flat and empty. No remorse, no guilt, just the cold, hard stare of a man who had been caught and hated me for being the one who caught him. The evidence was overwhelming. The bank records, the security footage from the ATMs where Mark had used my card, the text messages between Jenna and Mark that the police found on their phones, texts where they laughed about me, texts where they called me old and senile and said I would never notice the money was gone, texts where Jenna said once she is in a home, we can sell the house and finally live the way we deserve. I read those texts in court. A prosecutor read them out loud. Each word was a knife. Each word cut deeper than the last. My daughter had written those words. My daughter had laughed at me. My daughter had planned to throw me away like a piece of trash. Jenna took the stand. She cried. She said she was sorry. She said she had been under a lot of stress. She said Mark had pressured her. She said she never meant to hurt me.
It was a performance, a good one. She had always been a good actress, but I knew the truth. I knew because I had read those texts. I had seen the bank records. I had lived through the months of silence when she would not return my calls because she was too busy figuring out how to steal the rest of my life. The jury found them both guilty. Jenna got 3 years, Mark got 5, because he was the one who had actually taken the money and forged the documents. The judge called it a profound betrayal of the most sacred trust. I sat in my seat and I did not cry. I had no tears left. My tears had dried up months ago in the bathroom on the floor with my back against the tub. They are in prison now, both of them. My daughter, my son-in-law, and I am here in my house. The house I am still fighting to keep because the reverse mortgage is a legal mess that might take years to untangle. I am here alone. The grandchildren come sometimes. Matthew is 12 now.
He understands more than I want him to. Lily is 9. She does not understand at all. She just knows that Mommy is gone and Mimi is sad, and nobody will tell her the whole truth. My son lives in California. He calls me every Sunday. He did not know about any of this. He was as shocked as I was when it all came out. He has offered to let me move out there, to live with him and his wife and their new baby. But I cannot leave this house. Not yet. This house is all I have left of my husband, of my life.
Of the person I used to be before I found out what my daughter really thought of me. Sometimes I sit in the dark. I do not turn on the lights. I just sit in my recliner and watch the streetlights come on outside the window. I think about all the years I spent raising her, all the nights I stayed up worrying, all the money I gave her when she said she needed help, all the times I babysat so she could have a night off, all the love I poured into her, like water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. And I wonder if she ever loved me at all, or if I was just useful, just a resource, just a tool she could use until I broke. I think about calling her in prison. The phone number is on a piece of paper in my kitchen drawer. I have picked it up 100 times. I have dialed the first 3 numbers 100 times. And then I stop, because I do not know what I would say. What do you say to the daughter who tried to steal your life, who tried to put you in a home so she could take your house, who laughed about it with her husband while you were folding laundry and thinking about how much you loved her? I do not know the answer to that question. Maybe I will never know. The laundry is done now. I folded it while I was talking to you. The sheets are clean. The towels are stacked. The house is quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my own breathing. I am 69 years old. I have a court date next month to try to save my house. I have a daughter in prison.
I have grandchildren who call me sometimes, but less and less because their father's family has stepped in and they live far away now, and it is hard to stay connected when you are just a voice on a phone. I have nothing left to give. No more money, no more babysitting, no more co-signing loans or making down payments or buying school clothes. The well is dry. And now that it is dry, nobody comes around anymore, not even to pretend. That is the thing about being used. When you have nothing left to give, they disappear. They do not say goodbye. They do not thank you for the years. They just fade away, like photographs left in the sun. And you are left sitting in a quiet house with a stack of legal papers and a heart that does not work right anymore, and a question you will carry to your grave. Was any of it real? Did she ever love me? Or was I just free childcare with a pulse?